Hey, cuties! Welcome back to another stream as we cover Tokyo After School Summoner's latest event and transient summon. We'll also be covering the past recent equip banner and the evolutions that have been released recently. Joining me today is just my number one buddy, Zalgus.
Hello, it's only me here today.
Yes, I do wonder why all the units here are just so amazing to talk about. Don't know why anyone else did not take the bait. But we'll go right ahead and jump right in. Good to see everyone there. Hello. Twasha, TV star, whatever your name is, I don't know how to pronounce that. Cusco, and Happy, Soreen, Nitran, and the Gazer. Let's hop right in. So we are going to be starting with the equips. Just adjust my OBS thingy for a second. And starting off with the Cthugha Tsathoggua equip. So this equip is kind of unique. Even though it is a 3-star, you actually do get a straight up a buff on a pretty convenient timer on turn start for limit. So if you have multiple copies of this, it could be good. The only real crutch is its pitiful rate of 15% at a base, so you probably won't really ever use this for anything except for if you have no other equipment for a challenge and you want to have some extra damage sometimes. But in the very least, for a 3-star, I wouldn't say it's like one of those that you would never use, which is something I tend to say a lot nowadays for equips, so kudos to this equip. Also, Tsathoggua belly, quite nice. What say you, Zalgus?
I disagree because Limit at level 1 is one of the worst buffs in the game because it doesn't do anything at level 1 at 100% HP.
Just have low HP. There you go.
Yeah, but if you're a unit who had low HP, more than likely, you probably already have Limit in your kit.
I think Cthugha does not actually have Limit in his kit, which is why it's pretty unique to have it on equipable on use Cthugha. Despite him, his Night was variant wanting to reduce his HP.
I guess so. But yeah, just that base rate, and being a 3-star means it's very hard to level. I mean, ALs are just kind of hard to level up in general, but I don't know. I'm just not very impressed at low-level Limit, but I guess it could be worse.
Alright. Well, nothing to say about the art.
The Cthugha out. Tsathoggua was cute though.
Yeah, I figured. I don't dislike Cthugha. He's alright. Tsathoggua fine for me too. I like Billy though. We will be moving on to the next topic. Make this quick and easy. Breezy. Beautiful cover girl. We're going to be covering Sarutahiko Taishakuten, the 4-star equips now. So this one can be equipped on a number of units. Taishakuten, Sarutahiko, Water Ether, Nether. And can bestow regeneration on self on arrival, as well as bestow a bit of CP every move phase end. Kind of a low amount for CP at only a 25% rate, so you're probably not going to be using it for that effect unless your battles are going super long, but probably have better options by then. So what are my recommendations for this? I think the only unique-ish thing is regeneration is decently reliable, so if you have someone who can extend the length of that duration or distribute it, maybe you'll want to use this just for a free regeneration to toss in. But yeah, just use it for survival challenges, skirmishing and challenges, things like that, aka not farming as usual.
Are there any units that have like regeneration strengthening?
I don't think so. Regeneration strengthening should not exist. I know there's nourishment strengthening and then blessing strengthening. Regeneration is kind of rare as a status, and it's not really coordinated with other abilities, to be honest.
It does not, in fact, have any skills that rely on it, so yeah, this AR kind of blows. I mean, I guess healing, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, not very impressive.
Even if it was great healing, I mean, healing itself as a whole is kind of situational. But with that said, this equip, even though I like Sarutahiko, I feel like they keep on doing him dirty in terms of giving him the the sideways equip art. I think he already had something like this with the Onamuchi before in the same exact situation. It's definitely something.
Sarutahiko faces incessant harassment at work.
Indeed. So we'll just keep on moving at a brisk pace. I think we are good for this. Hey, the best equip in this entire game. Look at all those fucking fatzos that came directly from Ulamichi Academy, from the gurus. I don't believe all of them are from the gurus, but most of them are. So, yeah, as amazing as this art is, and as like I pretty much like love 99% of the units on this art, which is quite a lot of units. I'm extending that statement because there's actually not much to talk about the equip effects itself. This is probably the only equip in the batch that I will say you should not use, because its effects are, it gives you a bit of a thrust range resistance, so resistance to damage from any enemies that have thrust range, as well as gives the equipper a chance at a glint every time they're hit at 40%. That's not useful. That just use the Couche Lab or the Game Master's equip if you want concentration or glint, but you do not really want to use this just for the glint. It is quite remarkable how bad this equip effect is. Even the Cthugha Tsathoggua, I could probably see more usage than this one. But do you have any thoughts on that?
It's awful. Yeah, these effects are terrible. Licho's cute.
Only Licho? I see how it is.
I mean, I like the rest of the AR, but Licho's the one I like the best.
Alright, fair enough. We are going to be covering the 5-star equips now. So, starting with the Jugo Tajikarao equip. Go right ahead, Zalgus.
Oh boy. So, turn start arousal is decently useful, mainly for trying to trigger after buff effects. At a 60% rate, it's alright base, and since it's arousal, it means it only lasts one turn, so you can repeatedly try and fish for it every turn, no matter what. Unfortunately, I didn't even really think of units who would benefit from it, because I think I was looking at the short and long slash units, and the list was actually kind of... the pickings were pretty slim for actual after buff units who, are actually useful. But, oh well, it's there in future. Also, it has a +2 damage multiplier, so that's useful, at least, like, just generally speaking. Whenever you need CS damage, you can just slap that on. Unfortunately, I haven't updated my... I used to have, like, a list of CS multiplier combinations, but I think we've had short and long slash before anyway, so that's not necessarily unique, but it's there. So it's a alright AR. Well, honestly, it's better than most of the previous ARs, simply because it's a decent base rate.
I wouldn't go that far. Arousal has always been notoriously known as one of the more useless statuses. But yes, it is 10 CP at a 60% rate every turn, I guess. Go double it on after buff units. Sorry, what?
Buff application.
Yeah, there's only a few units that could benefit. I already remembered one of them. I'm pretty sure there's more, but there's Yarmangander. Every time he receives the buffs, he gives CP to himself and allies. So that's kind of the only way you'd want to use this equip, is if you're amplifying that effect, where if they receive a buff, they give themselves more CP, and they don't already have arousal. You may want to also bring this equip on a team that also has Tadomaiti's Diaries variant, considering Tadomaiti also has arousal strengthening to their entire team. She kind of has to move every turn to make it work, but with this, you don't have to move every turn. And I think that's it. I mean, we could talk about the art if you want. What do you think about the art?
I think, Jugo looks better than he usually does. He looks cuter than he usually does. Maybe it's just because he's smiling for once instead of scowling like he almost always is. Tajikarao, I mean, he looks cute too. I don't know who illustrated this, but they drew them quite nicely. Yeah, I like it.
I have nothing to say about this equip. I feel like every time Jugo's in an equip, he's throwing down someone or being vaguely physically sexual, which is fine, but Jugo can exist doing other things, I'm sure, but they refuse to show Jugo doing anything else. I think that was the case for during Summer River Adventure. He had some sort of equip with Shiva, and then he had another equip with Avarga, and they're all just like him, being very physical. Anywho,
what a deviant.
He could be doing something else for sure. We're going to be talking about the last equip now. And this is going to be quite possibly the only good equip in this batch that's actually like not as a joke worth using. In my opinion. This is the Tadatomo Breke equip, Red Zalgus.
Alright, so, Tadatomo Breke. First of all, the second effect, which is the less useful one, is before hitting, apply Dazzle to hit units. The base rate is mediocre. Honestly, the rates kind of look like Gen 1 Housamo units at 35, so that sucks. And, you don't want your damage mitigation abilities to be at skill level 1. And even, like, what will that be? Like a 1.25 damage? Or, no, it's like inverse. Whatever, it won't be very good for damage mitigation. So that part sucks. The other effect, when appearing, apply Omni Movement buff to self at 100% rate. This is very good. As everyone should know, movement is always important, and Omni Movement is very powerful. Unfortunately, this is a irremovable buff, so you can't do something like, say, take that fire limitation and put it on Fafnir and Jiangxi Knight Krampus to get infinite movement expansion with an AR. I did think about that briefly, and I was like, wait, that's an irremovable buff. This doesn't work. This is useless. Well, it's not useless. That buff on its own is good enough to justify using this thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Movement expansion, very powerful, and it's 100% rate at base, so you only need one copy for it to do its job.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know this fact, I guess it's an opinion, but take it as fact at this point. The only turn that really matters to have movement expansion is the first turn. Like every other turn, if you need to move a lot, that's like you're skirmishing or doing some other super inefficient shit. But the first turn, especially after the post position patch update, where everyone now has a fixed position that's like 1 square away, this will just always be able to ferry everyone within reach to get all their effects working such that the allies that need to be in proximity to them are now in range. And you only need to be in position once, and then the rest of the quest is just like you sit in place, happily killing everyone. So yeah, this is a very effective equip. If there was actually a reason to bring gacha equips on farm quests, such that it didn't take away from the boosters you'd rather bring instead, then this would actually be like one of the number 1 equips you would normally bring. So, very good, for sure.
We need second AR slots.
We really do. They're running out of resources to boost. I feel like that's the only logical conclusion at this point for them to continue boosting them in some way, and without just adding some random new resource like seals or whatever. But, oh my gosh, there are like ants in my wall. What's happening? I need to look for the hole in the wall at some other point. But yeah, there's the art itself. I do like the background. And Breke looks very ninja-like, I guess, despite Tadatomo being there. He's being outshone. I don't really care about these 2 units, but I think the neon kind of lighting choice is fairly well executed, very cyberpunkish.
They're okay, but unfortunately I don't really care about Tadatomo that much. Jura art, though.
All good, all good. Well, I think we're done talking about the equips. I'll just read up the 2 comments that we've received since then. We're making good time. Good AR, but bad art. Yeah, I don't think it's the best art. I think, was this in reference to the previous one? Or, yeah, it was a reference to the previous one. Was Jugo and Taji? Yeah.
Was it?
Maybe not. Maybe it was for this one. That's not really a good effect either, so maybe he just doesn't like the way this looks. I don't see anything offensive about it, but maybe it's just something you're looking for. And Breke, Tadatomo are my best. Oh yeah, these two for some reason, I don't understand why, but these two are very popular to be paired with each other. So we'll move that out of the way. We are talking about like some old dinosaur content right now. We really need to catch up to more current content. We're going to be talking about the evolutions now, starting with Yasuyori's Evo. This is going to be covered by Zalgus. Go right ahead.
You know, I was gonna ask you before this if Seth and Yasuyori is first, and I forgot to do it, and part of my script actually makes more sense if it's the other way around. But whatever. So, I don't know really how to describe what Yasuyori was prior to this Evo. He was a fairly early long slash unit who... He has some defenses, he has some disables, and he dealt decent damage, so I guess you could just call him an all-rounder. But it wasn't really that great. I guess he also had partial piercing to all defensive statuses besides evasion, which was basically useless because you would rather bring someone who would either remove the buffs or fully pierce. I mean, I guess you could stack a piercing buff onto him and then he'd get bonus, but that's too much effort. So the long slash break was probably the best part. Unlike Seth, who I mentioned we'll talk about later, Yasuyori didn't age really well because he was already kind of beans when he released. So, like, I mean, do you remember what he was like when he released? Because I remember like trying to use him and it was like, this isn't really that great. He's not really doing anything.
The only thing I used him for was he had the highest evasion rate to allies back then. And that was just like one meme, and it wasn't that good in the end.
Yeah. Also, because he's a Hakenshi, he's contractually obligated to pay the spiritual dog warrior tax, and then the skill Evo he got was complete shit. So that's great. Anyway, his Evo has 3 components, and all of them are defensive. When appearing, he gives a 10-turn Blessing Strengthening that gives a 0.5 defensive buff. I really hate this 10-turn buff thing, but they seem to love doing that, so whatever. Unfortunately, despite being a Hakenshi, he blows at actually applying Blessing. He's stuck at a 32% chance for self and allies left and right. I don't know why they didn't improve that base rate. That's the rate it was originally stuck at, and they didn't improve it. Like, they didn't even round it. Not that 40% would be much better. But the only person who in the team who would actually get Blessing regularly is the person sitting directly behind Yasuyori. Though, I guess you could use this Blessing Strengthening if literally anyone else in the team gives Blessing, so that's fine, I guess. There's a problem with how... I mean, there's a big problem with this entire thing, this entire Evo, but I'll get onto that later. So before being attacked, he also has a 40% chance of Guts to Self, so that gives him some potential staying power. Unfortunately, he has no innate rate increases, so he could never be someone like Summer Hombre Tigre. He's unlikely to really guts tank for you with only a 40% rate. And lastly, he gives protection to self and the ally directly behind or when attacked. For some reason, this is at an 80% rate because Life Wonders hates Yasuyori. And I will summarize that.
There's so many other things that are 80% too.
Yeah, and I will therefore round off with this Evo is trash. For a unit who doesn't excel at very much, they slapped on 3 defensives: Guts, which is a low rate, Blessing, which Yasuyori can't actually really make use of, and Protection, which the only reliable part, or Protection is the only reliable part of this kit, but it's 8%, and also he has to get hit first anyway, so he still takes that first hit. But Protection is the only part that Yasuyori will regularly benefit from at any rate, because he's going to be at the front line and getting hit. The unit who benefits most from this Evo is the unit behind Yasuyori, who gets Blessing and Protection for 2 extra defensive buffs. Except, this all falls apart because Yasuyori already applied Evasion to the ally behind them in his base kit. This was a 76% rate that they cleaned up and rounded up to 8%, so they at least cleaned up some of the stuff. Another 8% rate, but yeah, Spiritual Dog Warrior didn't do that. But yeah, this Evo makes absolutely no sense like this. The unit behind Yasuyori is already getting evasion at an 80% rate. Why are we slapping on an additional blessing strengthening and protection onto them? This is the only thing that Yasuyori is doing, because he's not getting blessing onto anyone else at a 32% rate. Really, all he's just getting is a protection to self and a guts to self sometimes. Like, you know...
Zalgus.
What?
It's not guaranteeable, so when it does fail, protection will be there. And blessings right there.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, it's not that hard to guarantee anyway, because 80% is within range at least, like skill seed and, you know, a single rate up buff. So, you know, despite my complaining, it's just kind of annoying that they're all stuck at 80%. But he's definitely a good recipient of that. But yeah, like, as a result of my original script, like, you compare him to Seth, like, who was already useful, and his, well, spoilers, his Evo is better than this, and Yasuyori got something that largely doesn't actually help him, and then tries to double up where it was already good, as in the evasion to, or the, you know, the mitigation to his ally behind. He didn't need that. So I fear that Life Wonders is just throwing darts at the dartboard again, because this shit does not make sense.
But he's hair clearing warmongers right now. Sorry, never mind. Berserkers right now.
If you kept that statement at warmongers, I would have actually been impressed. But Berserkers is not difficult. Well, it's not that difficult.
It's a proof of concept. He's not useless. He's just something you would never use.
does Hotei bless? Yeah, he does. Okay, so yeah, that's... Yeah, I guess bring Yasuyori with other people who are blessing him. Yes, that's the reason why he's giving all his allies to the buff behind. Or all of his buffs to the ally behind. But yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, no, they really... This is kind of just like, we need to give Evos because it's a date quest campaign, and then they didn't really think about it, so they just gave them some kits that didn't really change anything. And you'll see this trend for the rest of the Evos too, but I don't want to talk this anymore.
They didn't even give an Evo to the person who needed it absolutely the most.
You mean Astro?
No, I mean Baphomet. Well, I mean, I also would have liked if Astarte got an Evo, but Astarte is still good. Like, the base kit makes sense, and, like, you know, their arousal stupid Evo was bad, but they're still fine without it. I mean, they could have used an Evo, but no, I meant Baphomet, because Baphomet bad. Bad for Met.
Okay, but who even likes Baphomet? Anyway, let's keep this going. I think we're done for this topic, so you want to read out the chat?
Let's see. Yasu hot. This AR, don't get me wrong, background are really good, but Tadatomo is in kind of a weird pose, and, well, his outfit. His outfit? Isn't it just his standard outfit? And his pose is just kind of like he's kneeling on the sky. Yeah, well, I guess he just has a pose where, like, a leg is raised. I don't know. I thought it looked fine. Dog Warrior, all-out attack. Anyone who stays behind Yasuyori is indeed very blessed, yes. Why is he giving all of his buffs to the ally behind? Look at his 4-star art. Yes. I mean, it makes sense that he's protecting the ally behind, but he was already protecting them well enough. Why is he trying to protect them even more? Well, that would make sense in lore, but, you know, for the sake of gameplay, it doesn't make sense.
In real life, in-game, Yasuyori sits on his ally so that the enemy can't hurt him. It's very important you know this. Okay, we can move on. We're going to talk about the next Evo. Sandayu. And I'll be covering this. So Sandayu, just like Yasuyori... Hold on, let me change the slide. Sandayu, just like Yasuyori, received an evolution that didn't really change anything significantly to his gameplay style. I will just summarize his entire kit, as well as the changes he received. So his dazzle rate got improved a bit, and his attack up is brand new to self and allies. He's also received a nullify debuff effect to his entire team that are nearby, and he has this like shitty mentor ability that has no card XP boost, but it does give Glint a kind of shitty rate. And lastly, he also received a slight amp to his allies for dazzle that he also inflicts. So what has not changed? He's still the fantastic repossession, who has that rare +2 horizontal movement for the first couple turns, because he has native movement that's stacked on top of his extend movement status. And it also helps that he resists all movement disabling statuses. He also has a weird hot penalty thing, because of low reasons, where he's not allowed to take blessing or nourishment, because unlike every other unit that has a penalty that doesn't really do that much bad, you really do not want blessing or nourishment at Sandayu team, because it'll just cripple him and prevent him from working properly, as it reduces his activation rate by a large amount. So what are the new things? Well, Glint, as I mentioned, is new. It's only 80%, so it's not guaranteeable. It's very strange that it's not guaranteeable. But since you're going to be moving him anyways to inflict dazzle and weakness, it's not unwelcome, I suppose. Your allies will be right beside him left and right in the same way, so they'll be getting Glint, so it could help. He's also just improved Calm Clear and Calm Damage Amplifier between his minor charge full every post move and his weakness at the 3x3 area ahead of him, as well as his dazzle, which is also 3x3 ahead of him, which does not increase his damage, but the fact that he has advantage to dazzle does, as well as the fact that he now bestows dazzle advantage to his allies also does. Those are all facets in which he uses dazzle as an amplifier for damage. And he also just has a new amp strata for attack up, which is nice. And he can also remove some buffs on his charge, which can remove some of the defensive buffs that get in the way from an easy clear. And lastly, he's an improved mitigator, with that improved dazzle rate, of course, alongside his evasion effects on phase start, or rather phase turn 1, as well as phase turn 2 and onwards at a lower rate, and evasion to allies that are around him every time he gets it. He also has Guts. Is Guts new? I don't think it is. Every time he attacks at a 40% rate. And that nullify debuff is actually quite neat. He didn't really have any debuff mitigation before, so that's nice. He resists slash damage, that's not real relevant, to be honest. And as I mentioned, he resists movement disabling statuses, and he can bind combatants on charge that are his targets as well as enemies left and right of him. So, overall, the playstyle for Sandayu has not changed, but he is more broadly viable in tall maps in certain quests. Like, for example, I don't think he would be able to do this clear that is in the footage right now if he did not have his Evo, because he might not have had enough damage before, but his damage is now improved. And he didn't really have too much of an answer when it came to too many debuffs, but that nullify debuff is quite handy to give to his entire team. So yeah, you can use him for just lengthier quests as well in case he doesn't one-shot because of his improved dazzle rate. But overall, yeah, you can now also bring him for farms that also have like debuffs on. But yeah, you're not really gonna change his playstyle. He's just like kind of a mid-choice for a central unit to move for a tall map farm, a calm clear setup. What say you, Zalgus?
Yeah, it's not a very interesting Evo. Honestly, when I looked at this Evo, my eyes kind of just went to the attack up, and I was like, is that it? Is it just he gets an additional attack up? Because that's the most... I mean, I guess there's also the dazzle strengthening, or dazzle advantage, but no, it's just like a 3 times damage multiplier increase, so it's not the most interesting thing. But it does at least synergize with what he already did in a meaningful way, unlike the previous one where it does not. So it's fine.
I mean, honestly, Yasuyori did kind of synergize in terms of the only thing he was unique for was his evasion to allies, which is high rate but not guaranteeable. So when it does fail, and you're going to be using Yasuyori anyways for evasion because that's the only thing he's really good at, Then now you have protection and blessing strengthening too. Ooh.
Wow! Thank God.
Yep. I guess that's all your comments. Alright, well, I'll read the chat and then we can move on. Astaroth got a CS buff, so I don't know about more buff. Did Astaroth get a CS buff? I don't even remember that. What the heck? I know they got like a normal...
yes. They apply poison and fail poison now, so it just makes the CS hit very hard because they get an additional 4 times multiplier, I think.
So cool.
And also Brawl to Self on 4-star, and allies. So, that is their real Evo.
Was that like the only good CS Evo so far?
I feel like we did have some okay CS Evos, but it's too many for me to remember now.
Perhaps. Sandayu got more of a modern update than anything. Dedicated turret support's still a good role to have. I mean, it's an essential role to have for sure. The question is, supply versus demand, right? You have many alternatives that you could use outside of Sandayu. If you don't have alternatives, then sure, use them, but by all means, look at what options you have, because he's not really the best that stands out among them. Alright, we're going to be moving on to the final topic for the evolutions. So this is going to be covered by Zalgus. It is going to be Seth. When you're ready.
Everybody's favorite, not Anubis. I remember when he was releasing and he had his silhouette, it was sort of like, is that Anubis? And it wasn't. I'm surprised we haven't gone yet, actually, but
I'm pretty sure you're the only one who keeps on mistaking him for Anubis.
Do I? People were saying it early on, like years
maybe
ago.
Not Anubis, but like...
no, that was
Horus.
Yeah, that was Horus and Osiris, because I kept saying Osiris for some reason. Anyway, so Seth. Seth, for those of you who've been around the blog, you'll know that Seth was originally a pretty powerful defensive unit, which back then we didn't really have amazing defensive units besides moving units like Eisen and Snow. You were otherwise limited to like one defensive status, so someone like, say, Shiro who can curse. Not to mention his fear, but never mind that. Or, you had less reliable stuff like Ghost for both Curse and Dazzle. And then Seth came onto the scene. He was able to curse enemies, apply protection to everyone, and also skill lock enemies. And he could do that all without moving and all at reliable rates. At least for protection and skill lock. Curse is 70%, so not as great. But anyways, nowadays, I wouldn't say he's particularly outstanding. There are some true terrorists out there on the defensive side of things. If you want to look at the apex, just look at someone like Tindalos, who completely neuters enemy damage, and then they made him an offensive buffer too. But in the case of defensive buffers, or defensive units, Seth is still serviceable, I'd say, because of just how robust his kit is. Like, with 2 damage mitigations that are easy enough to apply, and skill lock. He's very low maintenance, so if you still want a low maintenance or a defensive unit, then he'll still work. So what I'm saying is that he probably didn't really need a second skill evo, but whatever. So he now gets a additional defense up and guts to self when appearing for even more personal defenses, which is good because Seth's protection only applies after the first hit he takes. So originally, for that first hit, it was going to be a fairly hard-hitting blow. So now he has that covered. The Guts, I don't think, has too much use because Seth is now going to be stacking a lot of defensive statuses on the order of 3 defensive statuses. Curse, Protection, and Defense up. And he also has another one, which I'll cover in a moment. And he can also skill lock them. And he also has self-sustain, so if your Seth is getting to 1 HP, something's going wrong here. On face start, he applies increased recovery and a unique paralysis skill onto enemies, which causes them to be inflicted with paralysis at 50% rate when hit. 50% is a pretty terrible rate, but you can potentially fish for it quite a few times depending on your team. And paralysis is, of course, a very powerful status. It's a long-lasting disable, movement disable, and it also is a damage down for even more damage mitigation. Also, Seth will now lifesteal 200 HP on hit. With increased recovery, this makes it 300 HP per hit for a potential 1500 heal on hit, if he hits 5 units. So Seth went from a still serviceable low-effort defensive support to now a far tankier unit personally, with an additional defensive buff, possibly 2 if you apply paralysis, and lifesteal. He can actually just tank and sustain. The new paralysis isn't the most reliable, but it's still powerful when it triggers, because it's paralysis. Also, he's now immune to skill lock, which is just always good. There's no reason not to have it. So all in all, this is a pretty good Evo. I'm not sure if he exactly needed it, but he went from a low effort defensive unit to still a low effort defensive unit, but one who is personally very tanky.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's pretty good. I wouldn't say I say he's pretty good. You know, obviously there's still the juggernauts of the world, but he was usable, and now he's even more usable.
I feel like this might be, how to describe this? There's a really big Seth fan within the Life Wonders headquarters to make such a strong kit on release too, because like guaranteed skill lock one hit is no joke, right? And then they actually like gave 2 decent evos on top of that. Maybe this is a bit brave to say, but I feel like at least in the right team, Seth's kit does look like a 5-star. Not like an amazing 5-star, but the fact that he has like, you know, these board-wide strong paralysis effect, he is like this holding down the entire board with both anchor and that paralysis. And, you know, he has this very exploitable skill lock on top of like, you know, just being unkillable with his lifesteal and his guts. He kind of is doing quite a lot for a single unit, and you know, with the right setup, of course, like the Goran Gotch or what's called Hoover setup, you could just like disable the entire board, so very easily with like a lot of protection to prevent Seth from like eating too much. And he resists skill lock too now, so it's just like in case he had the risk of like having it reflected back to him, that's no longer a risk, right? So, again, it's a bit of a brave statement. I don't think he would be the strongest 5-star, but he'd definitely be stronger than a good amount of 5-stars, I would say, especially in relation to a good.
Totally, especially in relation to this mana.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's definitely very good, and yeah, honestly, I didn't even mention that since he's now personally far tankier, he can take even more advantage of his skill lock. So. It's all very good, and I don't know. Again, in my notes, I had it written with Seth before Yasuyori, so that's why I was comparing them. But like, look at this shit. A good unit gets a pretty good Evo. Mediocre unit gets a nothing burger Evo. Why?
Well, as I began with, they probably have a big fan at headquarters. There's like no other reason to explain this, and there's no other reason to explain why fucking Halloween as a sauce, who was already busted on release, got 2 evos in sequence that was also extremely busted. Like I don't see how that's possible if they keep on doing shit like this.
Dartboard. Spin the wheel.
Wait. All right. You're free to read up the chat.
Perfect for my buddy. Don't know which one. I guess that must be someone who is a fan of Sandayu. A bit of self-healing, finally. While the paralysis is unreliable, it's still a fairly rare debuff for what it matters. Paralysis, they tend not to hand out that often, which is why I always liked Lucifuge's Evo, just because it could apply paralysis.
Isn't that 50% also? And then there's like to the entire board.
It is.
Seriously.
It is. I mean, Lucifuge's... I'm not saying he's good, but it was useful for me when I used it.
I mean, he has an Evo mode that I think is pretty unique, so I will always remember Lucifuge for that dot meme.
Yes. But yes, paralysis is still very good. Low key, we got too many blessing strength. Yeah, I don't know what it is. They love blessing, and that's why a billion units have it. All the Hakenshi love blessing, and then there's units like Citri with blessing strengthening, and someone from the missionaries, I think, who has blessing strengthening. Blah blah blah. I don't know what their obsession is. Where's the regeneration strengthening? I don't really care.
I suppose it's a way to encourage you to bring units that have heal effects when you normally would just go full offensive.
I guess so. Seth is fan favorite, and Life Wonders know this, so they've done this buff. Everyone likes Yasuyori too.
Yeah, it's strange.
He gets a ton of art.
Except for the Life Wonder staff, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, being fan favorites and not being fan favorites has never made a difference. And you know why I know this? Because Labe exists. We don't talk about Labe's
evolution. That was so
awful
funny.
Skill Evo.
But you should have seen the discussion on when it was released. Everyone was just like fucking crying over it. Fucking non-guaranteed stigma that doesn't even apply on the target that they hit or some shit like that. So bad.
It doesn't even go with his original purpose. Whatever his original purpose was.
Redirecting debuffs? I was like waiting for something like that, you know? He hits enemies and then he steals debuffs from his allies and gives it to enemies. Something like that would be a Labe thing, right? Based on his lore. But nope, we got column clear. Right, that one.
We got bad column clearing support. He's not even that good at it.
It's absurd.
But yes, maybe someone at Life Wonders headquarters does in fact love Seth.
Well, that's a shame because I don't. Anyways, we're moving on.
I mean, I like him well enough.
He's fine, but we have too many clones at this point.
No, Bale's cool.
Alright, we are now going to be talking about Gugalanna. Otherwise known as Gugalanna. Sorry, I keep on mispronouncing it. So, Gugalanna. I'll be covering this unit. What does he do? Well, to give you a spoiler summary, he just gives a shit ton of CP to a single ally. But let's go by his kit play by play. So in the beginning, he can bestow some raid up to his allies. It is kind of like conditional though, even though he applies it on move phase end, concentration to allies adjacent at an 80% rate. By the way, this is only amp to allies, so he's not really a damage amp. He also, to the unit directly adapted, applies this effect where they gain the skill where they will start self-applying drain for the next 2 turns. And it's kind of peculiar because that drain status reduces the activation rate to also by 10%. So it kind of cancels out whoever he moves behind. In terms of his local amp, on top of his concentration to allies, he also has a drain advantage effect that he applies to the allies around him at a 90% rate. That will last for 2 turns. And he also has personal advantage to drain on his charge. And he is able to inflict drain on the enemies he hits as well as collaterals left and right whenever he attacks at a 90% rate. And what's it called? Does he have any other amp on top of that? I guess he has a crit to allies on his charge. Doesn't really build his charges that fast though. But yeah, let's talk about the actual meat of what makes him unique, which is, you know, surprising given the fact that usually these event new 4 stars generally do not have anything going for them. You know, think fucking Saturnus or some shit like that. We got a ton of Saturnus type kits, but Gugalanna's not quite that. He actually has a very specific use that's quite strong. He bestows 50 CP to the ally ahead of him, the one ally ahead of him, post move. Only if he's at full health. And he bestows another 30 CP to that same ally at 90% rate, regardless of his health. And lastly, he also applies Arousal to all allies adjacent. And if you don't know, Arousal bestows 10 CP. So if you add 50 plus 30 plus 10 CP, that is 90 CP he bestows to a single ally. Pretty much like fully filling the meter. You can get that 10 CP just by having that unit he stands behind to attack a couple units or some shit like that. He might also just get that 10 CP for a random bonus charge roll. But yeah, there is a penalty that he has to deal with though. For one, he has that drain effect that he applies to allies where they self-bestow drain for 2 turns. That will hopefully be. I think it generally is cancelled out by the arousal, but it is strange. It kind of sometimes prevents their charge when I see, depending on the order of the statuses. So keep that in mind. You may want to deal that in some other way. You can cancel that with the concentrations. Strain reduces the rate effect, and you can cancel it with arousal too, since that also reduces CP. The other penalty he has is he self-inflicts 1000 HP damage, or flat damage to himself every time he moves. And the reason why that's a problem is because he needs full HP to bestow the main meat, the 50 CP, to the ally ahead of him. He can somewhat compensate by this by attacking enemies in shot range for 300 HP per enemy hit. I mean, that's not enough to get on 1000 HP, but I don't know, use something like heal reversal if you want to deal with it. But yeah. Lastly, he does have some mitigation abilities. He has tenacity to allies adjacent every time he moves at an 80% rate, and nullify debuff to self on phase start. He has guts on self before he is attacked, and he is able to apply drain either when he attacks at 90% rate or on charge. Kind of, it's just there. Various mitigation abilities, not really the strongest tank, but it's a broad wrap back of things. So, overall, recommendations for this unit. Well, for one, maybe deal with like neutralizing penalties he has to deal with. So for drain, just either bring turns or charge fillers to deal with. For some reason, arousal is out of sync with drain and it decides to drain the last dead CP instead. You may instead want to just straight up deny drain from happening by bringing nullify debuff or remove debuff in some way. And with regards to his max health requirement, for which contradicts his HP penalty on move, bring like heal reversal from the craters, not craters. Yeah, it was the craters, the AR craters invaders one, and or just like bring some healing that will make the difference for that 1000 every next move. In terms of strategy, because he can't really get the person who moves behind to charge on the same turn, as is the nature of you can only use your charge if you have 100 CP in the beginning of your first actionable move for each turn. Then you'll just want to alternate between two units such that they can switch between using their charge. And you can see a bit of demonstration of that in this footage. Keep in mind, I didn't fully understand Gugalanna's kits and penalties at the time, so sometimes it doesn't go up properly. But yeah, that's probably the best way you could use Gugalanna, just switching between two different units that can use their charge, 2 or 3. Is it necessarily better than just having a single board wiper? No. That's all I can say. I'm not even going to caveat that. But that's what he can do. It's pretty neat for 4-star that you can also redeem with the anniversary platinum ticket at some point. What do you think, Zalgus?
I was slightly disappointed because I was looking at the drain, and I'm not even allowed to make the awful joke of who else could benefit from drain, because it doesn't work. I was going to make a joke about Baphomet and her drain strengthening, their drain strengthening, whatever. But unfortunately, they would both have to move, so it's mutually exclusive.
Just like forget that. Doesn't the drain fucking strengthening only cancel it or some shit like that? It doesn't actually make it stronger.
Drain strengthening is a 20% rate increase, so it cancels the 10% drop and gives 10% more. So wow, it's like glint. Anyway, enough about Baphomet. We don't talk about them. I mean, yeah, I think he's fine. Like, 90 CP is nothing to scoff at, and although we do have setups that, do turn one board wipes, and then we have everyone's favorite chicken, Gandava, to do CS loops. If you're not doing something nonsensical like that, then Gugalanna will definitely work as a nice CP battery just on demand, for the most part. And 1000 HP is not that hard to counteract anyway, so it's whatever. His 100% HP requirement makes it so that he's like one of the types of units that you don't want to HP seed, right?
I don't think that makes a difference. What? That wouldn't make a difference because it's percent based, not like
No, I mean, if anyone hits him, like, the more health he loses, the more he has to, like, claw back up.
I mean, that's only applicable if you're, like, actually exploiting his guts, I guess.
I guess so. Well, his seeds don't matter anyway. Well, his skill seeds matter, but... Yeah, he's a fine unit. I don't have too much to say about him.
Fine indeed. How do you like him? How he looks? No comment.
Hang on, I'm just getting a bigger resolution image. I mean, I like him well enough. Generally, I don't really go for the bovine sort of character, so it's not like I'm exceptionally attached to him. I think his shoes are drawn very weirdly. Because they're very lumpy. But no, I think his outfit looks cool. At the risk of sounding uncultured, he has that Jotaro look.
Yeah.
Because he has the the long coat and the hat
cap thing, yeah. Yeah. I like bulls generally, but something about him doesn't speak to me. Maybe it's because of the Jotaro look, and also I'm not really a big fan of the sports fit, the jock, literally holding doubles and shit like that. And I'm not actually a fan of his other skins, so this is probably my favorite one, despite it not really speaking to me either. But he's okay. I like him. And I'm glad I got him last second, along with Hotei, in my last multi. With that said, I'm gonna go read out the chat so we can move on to this topic. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Know who doesn't have blessing strengthening? The goat Yule. Well, he's a deer actually, but yeah, he could use it, I guess. But he already has a lot of things going on for him with his other Evo. Yish, the big workout moo. He's, generically hot. I'm sure a lot of people like him. Budget Summer Behemoth. Kind of. The main... Right, I guess if I were getting on nuance of why would you want to use this unit versus Behemoth, it would be if you're actually, like, taking extra amount of time in, like, a single phase. Well, I guess Behemoth technically can only get 50 CP to begin with, right? So Gugalanna can actually start giving someone a full charge every turn between 3 different units. Whereas with Behemoth, you need a bit extra work to make up that other 50 CP difference. But I can see the comparison. It's kind of valid. Also, so funny that he is a drill sergeant for couples and is another Balduin bull. Yeah, it is peculiar that they decided to use another bull. But if you're remembering, like, Mesopotamia and where it's at, I suppose during that time, from ancient Mesopotamia, from the kind of animals and cattle that they had in their mythology, they would mostly just be thing that was local there. Bulls, right? Doesn't, like, before mass travel, mass transportation was a thing, so it would just be cows. And maybe snakes, I don't know. The bowl of heaven, or like the bowl of workout. I totally get the joke. Not really. Perfect coach, purification meta. Yeah, purification is just gonna make it trivial to deal with that kind of bullshit. It's weird that...
Hi, Harvey.
Yeah, hi, Harvey. Always good to see you around. It's weird that the new 4-star character from Event was Bow and Ether good again.
Apollo.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh, Apollo's so busted, so funny. Firstly Apollo, now Gugalanna. Alright. Well, not everyone can be an ether shot unit. Sometimes you have to be another shot unit. Like Saturnus.
Saturnus, yes.
Gugalanna is the only worthwhile character to send stones on for me. Honestly, not a bad choice, but just remember, even though his kit is actually quite decent, you can always redeem him during anniversary with a platinum ticket if you are willing to spend one of your platinum tickets for that. And he's not a terrible choice for that, for sure. But yeah, let's move on to the actual variants.
But not the meat.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need everyone to grab their cloth spins and just, like, firmly close it on their nose. We're gonna be entering a landfill for a little bit. It's gonna be some real stinky poo-poo doo-doo kits. We will get through this as fast as we can, okay? Starting with Hotei's kit. What did they do to my boy Hotei? Alright, so what is Hotei? Let's just say, as a grand summary, he does charm in the beginning, and that's kind of it. But we'll look at it.
So you mean he's charming?
Yes, he charms you, and then he just leaves. It's a one-night stand. Just like I'll let us get around. But yeah, he bestows glint to allies adjacent on phase start. So that's his early phase start effect. That does not apply to him. So keep that in mind. Doesn't affect the rest of his kit technically. But I don't know where else to put it in this analysis. He's also a minor charge feller. He bestows 6 CP to self and allies every time he hits it. Enemies at 70%. And he also has a blessing strengthening. Ooh, everyone loves blessing strengthening for 10 CP per turn to all allies. And he just so happens to be able to bestow blessing as well to allies that are adjacent to them every move phase end. So convenient timing at an 80% rate, which is not guaranteeable because he does not bestow glint himself. So 90% at best. And he's also a local amp and damage dealer. He bestows ardor to self and allies encircling him on phase start. He has taunt strengthening, which enhances damage by 1.5 times for the first 10 turns of battle to himself and to all allies on arrival. And he bestows taunt to himself as well as to allies on adjacent phase end to activate that taunt strengthening, which can also act uniquely as a form of aggro neutralization, considering I guess he's like the first unit that can bestow taunt resistance to allies rather than just themselves at opponent turn start. So if you remember Hotei's original kit on his base form, he had this ability where he bestowed crit to all enemies that didn't actually work or do anything because it would run out by the time the enemy would move. Maybe this is kind of like a callback to that, but in the reverse direction, where he bestows taunt to everyone, but then it doesn't matter because he removes taunt right after, and it doesn't actually influence the what's called the aggro, except for himself because he doesn't remove taunt to himself. Is that like funny? Maybe, I don't know. Depends on your sense of humor. But unlike the crit thing, which was actually exploitable and quite useful to steal back, I don't really see how taunt could be exploited, or the removal of taunt could be exploited. Because even though he does bestow taunt resistance, it's not like there's many units who already have taunt in their kits would want taunt to be removed. You're definitely not going to want to bring this unit without, let's just say. Let's see. He also bestows attack up to himself on arrival, and he has a quick charge, which we'll get to soon enough. 100 CP on arrival, as well as 10 CP to allies adjacent every time he hits someone on his charge. So, this is the actual meat of what he does. It's a one and done explosion. He like jizzes all over the enemy and then charms him over. But yeah, mitigation. He has evasion on phase start to self. On top of that, he charms the enemies instantly on the board because of his charge. He does have only shot range, which is not great, but it does spread to enemies collateral to the ones he hits, left and right. So in theory, if the entire tall map is covered, the entire central column is covered, and he hits everyone in that central column, he can go ahead and charm everyone on that one phase. And that charm will, of course, last for like 3 turns. Quite nice. Was it 4 turns? Maybe it was 4 turns, actually. And on top of that, he also has some debuff mitigation between his a debuff removal to allies every time he attacks at a pitiful 30% rate. I don't even know why that's there. As well as being able to remove debuffs to allies and himself every time he hits someone on his charge, because of his quick charge. But, do note, he does not actually build charge that fast outside of it that first turn. He does have that CP to self, but that's kind of like, whatever. And the blessing strengthening does not actually apply to him, so very cool. But yeah, in terms of recommendations, just use them for an instant attack disable for when they're not resistant to charm. So good luck finding that for survival farms, considering their entire gimmick is about trying to attack you. But if they don't resist charm, then yeah, use it for survival farms, for challenges. Bring it with some debuff refreshers even. Jurong is a base form. Everyone loves Jurong. Cutest creature to ever exist, who can refresh all debuffs if he attacks them. And Tsukiyomi's Night Vessel variant, he does kind of like a weirder, shittier version of the thing, but he can also spread that charm if he didn't hit everyone for some reason. He can also just extend the range of his charm if you want to really apply to everyone with Onyankopon, of course, who extends charge ranges to all range. And as I mentioned before, you could use a Hotei, in theory, to bypass taunt mechanics. Like, even if the enemy bestows taunt on you, maybe he can remove that as well. I don't know. I'm kind of struggling to find a reason of why you would ever want to remove taunt. But he can do that. But, you know, the thing is he doesn't remove it himself. Against Thor.
Yeah, I remember in the Ikebukuro dungeon where sometimes my lines would get broken because suddenly Thor would reach the front row and then he would taunt the front row, so then he completely ignores aggro mechanics and just punches the one in front of him. So the Hotei can stop that.
It's still not going to help you kite Thor because of the range of where he bestows taunt resistance. You need to like directly beside them or like directly behind them, so that's not going to let you.
You would also be using Hotei, and also his dungeons.
Hotei's cute. I tried to find a use for him, but unfortunately I could not. And that's why you see this footage here is kind of just like fucking nothing in particular is going on. There's no rhyme or reason to this fucking footage. I tried to get him to use his charge again, but he just got fucking disabled because of fear or some shit like that for the rest of the battle. I was like, I don't care. But they sucks as a unit, but at least he's cute. At least he's cute.
Yeah, so I was looking through, like, I saw that taunt strengthening, and, like, when I originally saw it, I was like, I don't get what this is trying to do, or the taunt resistance thing. And, I mean, I kind of get what it's trying to do, but it sucks at it. And then I was looking at the list of units who have taunt-related effects. There are a lot of units who have taunt strengthening. Like, just like independent statuses alone, there's like 10 of them. And, you know, some of those might have additional units inside them, so probably more than 10 units. And, you know, most of them will, you know, take a big penalty if you remove it off of them. Like, Alp, like you mentioned, Fashionista Tsathoggua, what's his face, Summer Hombre Tigre, you will completely cripple them if you bring Hotei. So that's not useful. I think there was one unit who I could think of, except it doesn't even really work because the taunt, there is no taunt in their kit. It's a Red Hood. Red Hood had this random times 2 damage taken while he has taunt, but he doesn't have taunt in his kit. It doesn't exist. So the only thing Hotei is doing
Hotei now, so that he'll never have that risk.
Yes, he creates a problem and then creates the solution.
Life wonders everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. It's complete nonsense. I'm sure, like you said, that there will perhaps be some challenge quest in future that Hotei will absolutely ruin because of taunt resistance, and they forgot about it. But yeah, it's bad.
I will be there first when it happens, everyone. I will break the quest with taunt resistance. It's gonna happen.
Also, I guess his blessing strengthening is a unique ID, so it is completely stackable with any other blessing strengthener.
Any other blessing strengthening that gives you plus 10 CP. Very cool.
I don't even know if there probably is another.
Yeah, there is.
CP. Yeah. There's so many that I don't even remember. But yeah, it has a unique ID, so it should stack.
Therefore, he's good. Not really. Keep those clothespins on. All right, I'm gonna go read the chat, and then we'll finally take a break to talk for a short bit. Let's see. Gugalanna is I already read that. Saturninus, at least handsome.
Correct.
Can use that. Yes. The handsome tax. Oh boy, 4-star gotcha fodder. At least he's limited, so you don't have to see him after. LMAO. So awesome that he gives Halloween Alp a 20% proc boost and then immediately fucks him over before that turn even ends. Incredible, truly incredible. Been a while since I managed to catch a stream. I'm sure you're here for your number one, Shiva. We will be covering him soon enough. He's, I believe, the second last topic, so soon enough. You want to be Christmas Tianjin so bad. I mean, I don't... That's kind of a low bar to want to be. No one's saying Christmas Tianjin's great either, just saying. They tried to do something unique, but they made a bad unit. I don't think they even tried to do something unique. I'm gonna contest that first off. They did not try to do something unique here. My god. Hey, you missed Igoro back.
I think it's funny that the taunt resistance is actually the same ID as Alp's one, so it actually just also removes all of his stackable taunts too.
Yeah. So bad. Hey, you missed Igoro a while back? Yeah, wasn't really worth talking about. Honestly, Shiva's current variant is probably slightly more interesting than Agar's was. But with that said, you know, the stinky poo-poo we're wading through is not over. It was not just a whole bag of diapers that Hotei left behind. It was actually.
I think it goes downhill, actually.
Cover your noses, everyone. Get some Febreze, and we're gonna continue wading through this landfill. All right, so now we are going to be going through some rotten carcasses, starting with Ixbalanque. Oh boy. Go right ahead,
Zalgus. Me? Wow! If I wasn't using my hand to hold down push to talk, you might hear applause right now. Everybody's favorite AGF unit, Ixbalanque. Wow! So, Ixbalanque is a blow unit who has two halves to his kit. He has one for on miss and one for on hit. For those of you who are well versed in the game, you may already know that this is a bit suspect, because when have blow units who want to hit things ever been exceptionally good? Don't answer that. There are some that are get some benefit out of blow, or blowing enemies, but most of the time you just want to on miss. So yeah. So real quick, his phase start stuff first, because that's general. On phase start, he gets evasion and evasion to self, and self and allies also get nourishment. And then everybody on the board gets everybody on the board, both allies and enemies, get blessing. This is for his buff reversal, however dubious it may seem, as we'll get onto. But because his on-miss stuff is marginally more practical, let's talk about that first. On miss, he applies unction and evasion to allies in front, and also a small 16 CP. The evasion only applies total turns 1 and 2, not phase turn. This is a comically low amount of value for a unit to just buff one person. Like, the reliable evasion is nice enough. Like, that's probably the most, the best you can say about his kit. But after 2 turns, it's just unction and a token CP boost for an on-miss skill. If I wanted that kind of value from a unit sitting in the back missing, I would just bring Daikoku, who can protect and heal more than one person. Then, I could just use his 3-star even. And that's it for his on-miss kit. Are you feeling underwhelmed yet? And now for his fabulous on-hit kit. So, as a reminder, he's blow range. When he attacks, he has a 50% chance to gain evasion, and he also steals up to 30 CP. This 50% evasion is stupid, because it's supposed to counteract his other stupid skill that makes it so that when he gets hit, he takes 400 flat damage every time he's attacked. This is like Tindalos or Volf. It's like if you had Volf, but your method of defense was horribly unreliable at 50%, which is not even bringing up the fact that you have to actually attack to get it. If you're doing the on-miss style, then after the phase start evasion wears off, you're just taking 400 flat damage for no reason. I don't get why he has the 400 flat damage to self, but I'll complain more about that later. And lastly, on hit, and probably the most flashy part of his kit, Ixbalanque will apply buff reversal to the entire board. Wow, you might think. Buff reversal to everyone, how strong? Except, this has an atrocious rate of 40%, and he also has to hit something, and he's a blow unit. This is a mind-boggling skill. He's a blow unit who has to be in close range, which is already a really massive risk, and it's also kind of an opportunity cost, because you have to, facilitate him actually being at the front. and then the most powerful effect in his arsenal is stuck at an abysmal 40% rate that he has no method of increasing on his own. Like, not to mention, buff reversal globally on phase start is a thing that we've had for a while already. Valentine's Jacob and Zabanya have it globally. Azathoth Alpha Omega also has it globally. But those are 5 stars, you might say. Well, Gendarme Shuten also has global buff reversal, and all of those are at a confirmable 90% or 100% in the case of Zabanya and Azathoth. Don't say that Azathoth has a 0% rate and it's just his status. But yeah, those guys all have it confirmable 90% or 100%, and it's phase start globally. And if for some reason you wanted buff reversal but you didn't have these global units, you can just use Bale 3 instead, because he actually does things besides this mockery of an attempt at debuff application. It's so bad. And then you might say, well, you might increase Ixbalanque's range, and then you can, you know, get buff reversal on the entire board at a much more reliable rate. But if you're going to do that, just use Bale. Bale's range is already magic, so it's better, and the only place to go is up to all. And Bale's rates are a million times better because he has 80% buff reversal, and he also applies oppression and weakness and can do other buffs too. So if you were going to increase Ixbalanque's range with like Summer Oz, just do it to Bale instead. So yeah, also his CS is kind of funny because it's just his normal attack, but it has a potential drawback. He has evasion and concentrated self, which, I mean, I guess there's his potential rate up increase, but he doesn't get a CS that often. So evasion and concentration to self, that's good. Buff reversal is also in there, but it's a 2 square diamond range instead of global. So for some reason he went from a global range debuff to 2 square diamond range.
Well,
it's 100% guaranteed at least. But
you can't have him to be too good, right? Just
yeah,
gotta balance the game.
Yeah, you know that. But yeah, I think it's funny that they made the range worse for no reason. Also, it's still a blow range attack, so question mark. Anyway, don't use Ixbalanque. This unit is a complete joke. He doesn't do anything that I can really praise, except like the evasion, but we have like phase start evasion units and like people who can apply evasion more than for 2 turns, and you know, maybe not at 90% rate, but you know, still reliably enough, and to more than one person. So yeah, his buff reversal is bad, his team protection is mediocre to bad. The only thing he's reliable at is unction and evasion, but the evasion lasts 2 turns, so it's just unction to one person. It's like, seriously? You know, I'd rather use Arslan or, you know, Islanders if I wanted unction. Anyway, he himself is also made of paper because of that additional 400 flat damage he takes. Like, why? His evasion isn't reliable. After turn 1, like, generally when they have this kind of, you know, flat damage to self, like, it's on Tindalos and Wolf. And the reason for that is because Tindalos spans evasion until it's every 3rd turn. And, you know, he's supposed to be sitting in the back far away from everyone. Wolf is supposed to be like a frontline brawler, but he's also extremely dangerous if he hits enemies. And, like, he's very tanky with, like, because he you know, takes debuffs and turns them into evasion tier buffs. So, you know, they have reliable methods of defending themselves. Ixbalanque does not. He has evasion for 1 turn, where he's getting chipped repeatedly by his flat damage, and then after that, he has nothing. If he doesn't hit anyone, then he's not going to get evasion, and if he does hit someone, he has 50% chance of evasion. It's bad. I don't get why that's there, but yes, Ixbalanque is extremely bad. Do not use him.
But Zalgus, he can help you with survival farms that last for 3 turns exactly.
Yeah, sure, and I'm sure. I don't even. I can't even joke about it. I mean, I guess he can do that, but survival farms are pretty easy anyway.
Survival farms are such a fucking dumb joke. I hate the fact that there are only 3 turns for a tanking thing, and I think the worst thing is they're clearly designing units for survival farms, like Ixbalanque. These tank units that only function for 2 turns in a row. So fucking dumb. I'm pretty sure Ixbalanque is not even the first unit that only functions for 2 turns. I'm pretty sure we got someone from like a recent banner that also did some dumb bullshit like that. Oh my god, so dumb.
Well, whatever it is, I'm sure it can't be as bad as this.
Wow.
Don't test that statement.
It's okay, Zalgus. I'm sure Life Wonders will continue the power creep trend, but you know, power creep in the other direction to make a worse kit than even Ixbalanque in the future.
That would be funny. But yeah, unfortunately, this clown is the only one I got off banner with my few pulls I got, so... Wow!
I got him 3 fucking times, get this fucking Waluigi Lucifuge fucking... You know, it's just my art style. Reject wannabe out of my screen, out of my game. Get him out of here!
I also got him like 3 or 2 times. It's very bad. I don't even think he looks that bad here, but this kid is so bad, man.
I disagree.
He does kind of have like an overly prominent chin.
Fucking crimson chin here. Jesus Christ.
He has that signature look of superiority I've been seeing going around.
I don't want to look at this anymore. Okay, just read the chat so we can get the fuck out of here.
As someone who got Ixbalanque, I can respect a 4-star unit who has both a buff to enemies and buff reversal on the same kit. I believe only V. Jacob can do the same. I'm not going to vet that statement because I don't remember off the bat, but it's very easy to get buffs onto enemies anyway, so I don't think it's really that much of a pro for him, because like you could just like, again, there are ARs you could use, I'm pretty sure, that apply buffs on hit, and then you could just slap that on someone like Bale or whatever. So yes, I guess there's some small synergy there, but it's still not really that great because you can't apply buff reversal reliably. Oof, it's that bad now. I haven't really bothered to check everyone's kit. Yeah, well, you could have gone with missing this, I'm sure. Gotta appreciate Housamo having some of the slowest power creep in the gacha world. I mean, I guess so. I mean, we kind of already spiked.
From like within 3 years, we've been going from like, you know, 2 times to 4 times at most, to like fucking 50 to 100 times damage from Shuten. Like, Jesus Christ.
I'd say it's more like Housamo's kind of like a really slow like increase, and then suddenly it's sharply shot up, and then it's now falling again for some reason. Sometimes actually it kind of is falling like, you know, like what's a good analogy for something falling very quickly? I don't know.
Falling like a brick.
But yeah, I mean, things fall at the same rate.
Not with wind resistance, but yeah.
But yeah, it's Housamo. The power creep is kind of weird. Like, it shot up and then, you know, it didn't stay there. Like, but in a lot of other gacha that I play, it's usually pretty consistently, you know, sloped upwards. So I guess in that sense, it makes sense. But yes, first AGF unit is appropriately the first one with a variant. Yeah. Besides, his ult is still better than his perm.
Yes. At least you don't have to fucking move him every turn in this variant. His perm is just like, you have to move him for what? Some shitty 2 thrust range break or something? With vertical extension? It was so bad, oh my god.
I guess. Oh boy, Ixbalanque, poor furry. Too bad. His nose looks off. Does it? I mean, I guess maybe it's angled a bit wrong. Waluigi Core, I love his art. That's my janitor. Oh no, that's my junior. Why did I say janitor? Life Wonders correctly clocked that none of Ixbalanque's fans play the game, so they got away with drunkenly throwing darts at the board for his mechanics.
True.
Yeah. Life Wonders decide to make some bullshit with this event, 4-star event variants. I know not everyone can be a great unit, good even, but what the fuck is this? Probably the least cohesive kit I've seen this year. Probably. I mean, how far? We're 5 months into this, and we haven't had
He
too many kits
2
yet.
turns for evasion, but you want buff reversal on board too, at least to roll it like with Smokey. But Smokey only lasts for phase start, so like you can't have both. Why would you do that? So dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could pair him with Smoky God. Oh yeah, obligatory Smoky God mention. But
then you wouldn't get evasion for the ally. That's just so dumb.
Yeah, it's like.
Also, I don't.
This is why we
in this footage. He fucking whiffed evasion.
This is why we don't. This is why we don't make half and half blow units. Or if you do, at least make each half like useful or lasting more than one turn, so you can actually rotate between them. Ugh. If he had combo and pushed himself on hit to apply his on miss stuff like slash range, he could have something resembling a cohesive hit. Yes, that would make more sense. I mean, it would. I think it would still be kind of awkward because you'd have to blow yourself back by a specific range and position everyone. But yeah,
I'm surprised we don't have that yet.
It would make more sense. Yes,
it's like a reverse Jacob in a way. That would be neat to have.
I feel like we do. I guess Jacob is. Is it Jacob the one who?
He misses.
No,
and then
Jacob's the one who. He pulls them in.
So
I thought we do have someone who like pushes themselves away and then they miss. But I can't remember that.
I don't think so.
I'll look it up in a moment. Board wide blessing for what? Debuff removal at max CP for what? Generally, what is his purpose? There's always some bullshit when you look at a different skill. The board wide blessing is just to trigger his buff reversal, and that's it. To his allies, I guess it's minor healing. I mean, he has decent healing, I guess. He has 3 heals on his allies. Unction, Nourishment, and Blessing. So that's like, what? Nourishment and Blessing are, 400 and 150, I think. So 650, and then Unction is like 200. That's like 850 HP per turn, something like that. It's incredible. You can't. Well, I assume this says you can't power creep when Cure exists. Yeah, I can't. I mean, sure you can.
Yeah, sure you can. Hey, you don't want that happening, but sure you can.
You can always go higher. Hey, Eisen 5 is still useful, right? Yeah. I mean, he's not a juggernaut anymore, but you could definitely still use him. Like, he still has bind on hit, even if it's not the greatest rate, and he still applies heal, CP, and protection, or tenacity actually, to allies with potential for adamantine, I think. So
use divine as a sauce instead. Whatever.
What to kill everyone?
Well, Eisen does defense mitigation and disables the enemy. Azathoth does that like 10 billion more times. So if you want the same effect that Eisen does.
Well, yeah, I guess, but I think that if what he's asking, I mean, it's hidden, so I don't know if he's joking or not, but you can still use Eisen and get a cohesive team. A question mark. Me to this banner.
All right, we're moving on.
It's over.
Not quite. So we're finally moving out of the landfill, but it still doesn't smell quite like roses yet. So if you wish, you may take off your clothes, man. Good job, everyone. I applaud you for your very long lung capacity. We are now going to be talking about Shiva, his second variant, and I'll be covering this. So look forward to it. Hidden. So he is now long slash range. He just cannot seem to pick a range. Before he was slash range. That switched to all range. Then he was like blow range, that then switched to all range. Then back to blow range. And now he's just long slash range permanently here. So there's nothing else besides long slash. So as his role, he likes to attack people, but not necessarily to kill them. And he achieves this first and foremost by pulling enemies 1 square forward every phase start. And then that's when the magic happens, when he can start doing his mitigation work. So, he is first and foremost, unlike his first 2 5 stars, a mitigator, not a damage dealer. He does have some operation for that, but we're not going to focus on that. Rather, what he does is damage mitigation in many forms. Dazzle on all enemies on phase start. Darkness on combatants, and enemy collaterals behind them every time he attacks them at an 80% rate. Which, as you know, he pulled those enemies in on phase start. tenacity up to self on turn start at 90% rate, and protection guaranteed to allies encircling him when he is struck. So, all in all, that's like 3 different defense mitigation sources for each member of his team. He also has some debuff mitigation on top of that. Purification to self on phase start, and remove debuff to self and allies adjacent to him post-buff. The post-buff thing seems peculiar. It's a surprise for later, we'll talk about it more. But it's at a 50% rate, so not great by itself. But it is stackable, unlike other remove debuff triggers. So, he is also a healer of sorts. He has Blessing to self on phase start, and on his charge, which can go decently fast because he is hitting a bunch of enemies that are directly in front of him, he bestows 20% max HP to both himself and to the ally directly behind him on charge, and bestows a meaty 1000 HP to allies that are 2 squares to the left and right of him on charge. So, we will be talking about how he is a charge filler in due time. But before then, he also does charge mitigation, as we mentioned before. He has darkness on the enemies he hits, as well as the enemies behind them. And if all else fails for whatever reason, he also has guts to self on charge. So, I mentioned this a few times, but he is also a charge filler. Long slash damage dealers, or just long slash in general, that have bow tend to build their charge fast because they are hitting a lot of enemies with a weapon type that has a decent CP bonus for hitting enemies. In addition to that, he has Ardor to self and all allies on phase start. He can bestow 10 CP to self and allies encircling him before striking at a 70% rate. Again, helped by his board pull. And before he is attacked, he can gain 16 CP to self at a 70% rate. And he is able to bestow arousal to allies encircling him whenever he's struck at a 90% rate, which, whether he's attacked for that's 16 CP itself or for the arousal of those allies, he is a mitigator, as we mentioned before. So there's a lot going on there defensively, even on his charge. And he is kind of a rogue clear to a damage dealer for clearing rows. It's not great though. He has Ardor, as we mentioned, stuff on allies, and on his charge, which he can build decently fast, which does add more damage because it is a charge. He can also subtract 20% of their max HP to each enemy hits. And lastly, he is a buff spreader, which is kind of like, what's it called? Chattanooga's Sparks Festival variant. This is the one and only skill that requires him to move. And that skill is if he moves, then he can spread all the buffs he currently has to the allies that are adjacent to him post-move. And just like Shadow in the Book, he might not necessarily have any unique buffs to give that he doesn't already give to allies, but this is kind of incentive for you to give him as much buffs as possible and then spread it to others. And that synergizes with what I mentioned before, the remove debuff to self and allies for every buff he receives at a 50% rate. If you're gonna be giving him a ton of buffs anyways, then that can go off a bit more crazier and he can deal with debuffs a lot more frequently. So, not quite the board wiper that he was before, but he's fairly oppressive defensively in the very least. And he, if I were to recommend him for anything, maybe it doesn't sound too flattering, but survival quests, skirmishes, and just bring him in teams that have allies who can give him multiple buffs and replace them very frequently. Kind of a simpler thing, but unlike the other units, which you would vaguely bring for skirmish quests, Shiva does a lot so that it would be fairly effective for his defensive role. And if you are giving him a ton of buffs, yeah, why not give him a bunch of offensive buffs too, so that he can start actually deleting rows too. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Shiva, except for, I guess, his art. I guess we didn't talk about the art about the previous 2 units, but, well, but Ixbalanque. Hotei's cute, at least. But Shiva is... I only noticed his one eyeball only shows in all his art, so it's a pretty unique effect. But other than that, he's pretty horny in his alt skin. Probably the best art in the batch, that one skin. That's all I have to say about this unit.
If his spread buff wasn't there, I would have made a joke about it's very bold of Life Wonders to have a new banner with 3 4-star units. Because this kit is kind of giving 4-star. So, he does decent, damage mitigation without too much effort, at least with the Dazzle and Darkness. Board setup permitting, which at least he facilitates by just pulling everyone in. But the tenacity, like, do you really want to be moving Shiva to? Did you change slides?
Oh, my bad. Good.
Do you really want to be moving Shiva to actually get the full breadth of his defensive buffs? Because the move slot is pretty valuable for sending out like offensive buffs, like with someone like Shuten, for example. I mean, of course, there's plenty of buffers nowadays who do it without moving, like Enigma, Oriole, but it just strikes me as a awkward paradigm to have Shiva accumulate buffs and then have him send them out on the on-move slot.
Wow.
I feel like we've had that before, but...
It's Shino, like I mentioned, and
yeah.
So they are clearly aiming for a new paradigm here where it's like this one part of the kit that interacts with nothing else in their kit, but if you want to do it, you can, I guess. So, it's there.
But, I don't know. Chanabog had more buffs to give out, and...
He already gave them out as a thing, right? So, like, without needing to spread buffs.
True. Kuma does it better.
Okay.
No, not really. But yeah, I'm not particularly well impressed. Like this, for a 5-star, it's pretty underwhelming. Also, I think it was something that you talked about his damage. His base attack is absolutely atrocious.
Guild affiliations, I don't know.
We don't talk about guild affiliate. Well, I don't like to talk about them because it's very, very easy to make anyone overpowered. So, I'm trying to restrain myself a little bit here when talking about that. But yeah, that base attack stat is not it. So you definitely want to seed him if you really want him to road clear. But yeah, not very impressive.
I feel like I killed your momentum when I accidentally switched slides. Sorry about that.
I mean, I didn't really have much to say about this guy anyway.
If anyone else has anything to say about Shiva, let us know later in chat. We can talk about it. But yeah, I sort of agree with Zalgus. Definitely a number of steps down compared to his river variant as well as his base version, which both still have relevance today as, specific steps for board wipers. This guy here, he's yet another potential man, right? Just like Ixbalanque is potentially useful for survival farms, I guess. But they refuse to release anything.
Those are not comparable.
Well, you know what I mean. We wouldn't be shitting on these units as hard if they actually released quests that required survival and then just like make them resist all the debuffs that they give anyways. And one of those ambush quests coming back, right? Like, come on, that would be useful. Like, these units would be useful for that. Come on. But no, we haven't seen neither shine nor rain on them. So, yeah, Shiva is in the bin. You can, I'm gonna go read out the chat, if that's it.
Are you gonna say that to me? That I can read out the chat?
No, I just want to be done with this guy. Like, it's like you serve me a plate and I push it back. No, it's yours. Alright, let's talk about it. You still got more broken and more brain dead as unit, but Life Hunters, please don't. I'm gonna pretend I understood that, but...
He means that in the context of you can't power creep Huama, but you can always get more broken and more brain dead units. But
yeah.
Life Wonders, please don't do that.
Please release units that are meta because they have like 50% coin bonus, but then give them the worst fucking kits ever. Please do that, Life Wonders, so that we can actually have a challenging game again.
They were going to do that for Outbreak, but they forgot to put the coin bonus on.
They made him a bit too shit. He's like, oh my god. Woo, Shiva! I was going to get food, but I'll wait. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, the third 5-star Shiva hit the meta. Can you believe I have all versions of Shiva and he's fully seated level and skill and attack and blossom for HP? Like, I must be like the Shiva's biggest defender, right? Totally. Such a Shiva fan I am. Shiva's art is just peak. Yeah, honestly, his art here, I keep on saying, like, Shiva is not, my favorite character. I like his story present, at least. But, like, his art, like, always hits. I have to say, his art always hits in game. Even if I'm not his biggest fan. Like, holy shit, it's so unbelievably horny the way he positions his champagne bottle. And it just makes me surprised that no other fucking artist has done that yet. They've just instead elected to give everyone third fucking legs for bulges. But I think the champagne is pretty clever. But yeah, Shiva Bros, rise up. Is that my gong there? I'm pretty sure it is. It was fully seated and all that. Maybe it is. Thankfully, I haven't needed to pull for meta, so I'm fine with him being mediocre. Yeah, honestly, even if he's mediocre in relation to the strongest of the game, like, let's be real. In relation to the actual what's required for this game, Shiva is perfectly serviceable. Shiva actually goes a bit above and beyond that. He does a lot more than what's needed for the challenges in this game. So he is a fantastic unit in relation to what the game asks for difficulty. He's just not like Housamo or Alpha Thought or anything like that. This whole banner is giving Meet the Potential banner. Yeah, well, it's just been kind of like that for the past few banners, to be honest. Just like potential man here, but potential woman there. It's the only thing that's remaining is the actual scenario that what they could use as potential in. Just like those potential people in Onmei, right? They just refuse to release actual survival quests, actual survival farms. I'm glad survival farms exist, but you gotta give us more than that. You gotta give us the jump quest, the ambush quests. Please jump me. Please jump me and, you know, take me from all ends. I am waiting. I'm on my knees. I'm using a full-seated wedding Shiva, and he struggles to survive until the end of the quest. Yeah, that's because they designed those stupid farm quests to obliterate people, because you cannot finely balance a survival quest if it's only within the first 3 turns. So they just make it so they ignore all their defenses and remove all their buffs and like do like percent damage. That's why these like survival farms are so dumb. Make them longer. Like, seriously, stop doing this 3-turn bullshit. You cannot balance defensive units within 3 turns. Otherwise, you get units like Ixbalanque. Please stop releasing survival farms that are only 3 turns. It's so fucking dumb. Oh god. Just use the end. I mean, Gugalanna. So true. His art with the robe during his swimsuit art. Just the right amount of tasteful sexiness. Yeah, big fan. Shiva's kit kind of put me to sleep. This is probably the most generic 5-star looking skill set that you could see on 5-star and say, yeah, that's a 5-star, right, I guess. It is pretty dull, to be honest, but, you know, in very least, it's no fucking... what was that guy's name? That fire dude. It's so bad, like, I just, like, memory hold it. The one that makes plushies.
Prometheus? Oh,
Prometheus, yes. Oh my god, that's a long slash 5-star unit that I just do not want to engage with ever. Worst fucking like 5-star we've ever received in a long time, and they dared to put that as a fucking 5-star. Shiva's miles above that, so please at least make everyone relative to Shiva around that difficulty or around that kit quality. Survival quests are a great idea and addition, but as Life Wonders keeps showing, they aren't good with executing it. Prometheus, yes, that's right. And you're absolutely right. They are good additions. They just... And, like, I was clamoring for survival farms before they even released it, and it happened. And it's like, you know, they can manifest sometimes. But, like, please, we are starving. It is a desert. Make the game hard. But it's hard to make a game that actually matches the kit quality when they release units like the next topic, which we will be finishing off this discussion with. So, welcome everyone to final topic, the only one that is actually strong, I guess. Alright, here we are, Reprobus. You may begin whenever you're ready, Zalgus.
Before that, you know how we were talking about a combo unit who pushes themselves away and does something? There is one unit in the entire game.
Maybe not her. Or them. Oh.
No, it is Nightmare Durga, yes. Nightmare Durga is the one unit who, with combo innately in her kit, when she attacks, she pushes herself away, and she misses for a bit of CP to allies around herself.
Oh, well, too bad that her kit is mid, so...
That's literally all she does, so, yeah. She also gives CP to herself, but yeah, it's definitely something that they haven't taken advantage of before. Everyone else who does this push stuff away does it to, like, evade enemies. Anyway. Reprobus. So, Mr. Dogman here is probably... No, he is definitely the star of this banner. But that's not difficult, because of how dismal this banner is, good lord. So Reprobus's kit is luckily not very complex. He largely just functions as a general offensive buffer with a potential like very high peak. He has 5 total offensive buffs. 2 of them come from Blessing Strengthening and Anchor Strengthening. Blessings and Anchor Strengthening are both global application, Blessing when appearing, and Anchor on phase start. Unfortunately, Anchor is only for 1 turn each phase, so he is definitely embodying the Housamo TM one-shot style of gameplay that we know it so well for. Blessing Strengthening is their stupid standard 10-turn thing. Blessing Strengthening is a 1.5 times damage buff and a 0.7 times defensive buff, and Anchor is a 2 times damage buff, because we love Blessing. Stack more Blessing, please. Besides that, he also grants Concentration and Limit. I'll talk about the ranges later. And lastly, he can also grant Crit Plus. This is at a, unfortunately, very, very low rate of 20%, but it is after buff, so you can potentially fish for it a very large number of times. As Limit is one of his buffs to himself, he will at least get 1 try each turn, and he also has Concentration innately, so he can, you know, on his own get it up to 40% with Seeds. So it shouldn't be too hard to get it going, but you know, just know that its base rate is never going to be that great unless you know, Smoky God or something like that. So with Crit Plus, these buffs will all add up to 66 times multiplier. Without Crit Plus, that becomes 13.2, and if Anchor falls off, that becomes a 6.6. Although you could still get Crit Plus, so that would go to like what, 33. But yeah, his damage can fall off quite fast because his Anchor is only 1 turn, so you better make it count and blow up everything as usual, which is not hard if you get his Crit Plus, because 66 times is a lot. So compared to Shuten, Reprobus has a higher peak. Shuten's max amp is 48.57 times, but it's pretty reliable, so unlike Reprobus. Reprobus's main advantage over someone like Shuten is that Reprobus does not need to move at all to do any buffing, and he also has better attack range. He has shot versus Shuten's thrust, so he can column clear fairly well. Reprobus also gains his own limit, concentration, and his own crit plus for a 22 times damage multiplier, which will have him deal 52.5k damage. And even without that, it's 10.5k damage, which is pretty decent for not needing to do anything and with some fairly uncommon buffs. So the main problem with Reprobus, or the main thing that you would need to consider, is his buff range. While his Anchor application is completely global, every single other standard buff is adjacent only. Blessing, Limit, Concentration, and Crit Plus. They are all adjacent. Also, Concentration is phase start, so there can be some awkwardness on phase 1 where you aren't fully positioned, or, you know, if you messed up your positioning on any further phases. So that is something that you'll need to work with. Reprobus, I would say, functions best as, like I said, a column clearer, where he sits in the center, so he can buff his 2 allies on the left and right to give them a big damage buff, while he also deals with his own column with his respectable damage. Since he has after buff, he also has after buff CP to self and allies adjacent, so he can do a fair job of batterying the team, even at a base rate of 60%, which is pretty standard, honestly. Since it's after buff, that can quickly add up to 100. It's, what was it? It's 8 CP, so yeah, pretty standard stuff, but it's easy to get that spiraling out of control. His CS is just an all-range CS that applies Breke and deals 3 times damage to Breke. Unfortunately, because he won't be able to get his limit, the damage is a bit limited. The damage is okay. It has a base damage of 7.6k with no buffs besides his Breke, so that could potentially scale up pretty quickly, because you can get Crit Plus, Concentration, Blessing Strengthening, etc. And then any other common buffs, so you can definitely make use of that. But yeah, so Reprobus is, as I said, a general offensive buffer with a potentially really high peak. To facilitate that, you're going to want to pair him up with people who give them a lot of short-lasting buffs, as well as skill rate ups, so Glint and Prayer, or maybe even someone who refreshes his concentration if you really need it, if you somehow let it fall off. So you can maximize his crit chance as much as possible. Smoky Gold would indeed be a pretty good choice for this. since it's just such a massive buff. Although, unfortunately, Smoky God doesn't offer anything besides that. So, you would need, like, if Smoky God's going to be sitting in the back, then you need, like, whoever Reprobus's fellow column clearers are to also supply other buffs and whatnot.
Well, I'm not sure if you said this, but I feel like I heard it at least once before. Some people were saying, whereas your other people, Reprobus is actually quite good with picking other buffs because a lot of his stuff is somewhat unique. So
I was actually going to say that. This is my last line.
Okay.
Reprobus's buffs, as he says, are all on the more uncommon side. I'd say limit and concentration are probably the more common ones, but the blessing strengthening and anchor strengthening are both completely unique, so no one's overlapping that, and barely anyone gives crit plus, so that's not overlapping either. So it's really just limit and concentration. In fact, Shuten is probably the best example of this, because Shuten has no buff overlap with Reprobus, so you could use that for giga stacking. And together, that would make a completely ridiculous 3,206 times damage multiplier if you paired them together and stacked all of their buffs together. So, yeah, that is probably Reprobus's biggest thing of note, besides just being a column clearer who is able to dish out buffs, is that he stacks up well. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. He's a perfectly good unit. I'd say he's probably more than perfectly good, but he's not the most interesting one, unfortunately, because it's just damage buffing and column clearing. So yeah, but he is the one gem, the swan floating above these horrible ducklings.
I don't know.
They won't be going into swans.
The reason why I mentioned the fact that it's low overlap is not just for that total amp, but also because crit plus is this low rate thing that is after buff triggerable. So you might as well, if you're gonna give them a bunch of buffs, trigger it through that method of giving them a ton of amps. Kind of like Shiva, right? So it works out. I don't really have anything to add to this unit. Not that I'm trying to do the opening here, but I'm not really impressed by this unit. Even if I didn't check the numbers, it is surprising that he does have larger amp than Shuten in total, and it's even more surprising I didn't know that they had no overlap. But that said, it's just like we've already crossed the point of no return in terms of local amp and board-wide amp, and the fact that he's doing both, but like even larger. Like how many times can we do like even larger before we get tired of it? And when it's like fucking 3 or 4 amps ago that we're already reaching the amount of damage necessary to clear any quest. It's just doing unnecessary laps around in the already solved game. So Reprobus is strong, yeah, but in relation to the entire status of like the roster the full roster of the game provides, he's kind of just like a bad sentiment rather than like a golden egg.
Yeah, but you get to do funny screenshots with him.
Yeah, don't even remind me about his fucking alt art. Worst fucking art. Well, maybe it's tied with Ixbalanque, but like, holy shit, what an awful alt expression he has. Jesus Christ. Alright, Zalgus, please read out the chat.
Where were we? Is it Life Wonders doesn't want to do too hard content, I guess?
Something like that.
Yeah, Life Wonders doesn't want to do too hard content, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, personally, I think that, even in gachas, there should be endgame content because, it's fun, in my opinion. But I'm sure some people would disagree with me on that. But I think even if that was your opinion, Housamo is like so far off the scale on the other side that like even the most casual of people think it's boring because it's too easy. So, people want a bit of bite.
Which is a shame because this game is like, it's not easy because it's fucking, baby game with baby rules. It's just easy because they refuse to release different content despite all the tools they have to make a complicated game.
Also because they spiraled the numbers out of control. Which, I mean, they can stop it if they want. There are ways to stop it, but
release attack buff resistance. I don't know. Release something like Tangoro Mugen's status and inflict it on all of the player units and make this so that all their amps are actually reduced by a certain factor.
Well, I have things to say about something like a buff resistance thing, but I can talk about that later. But yes, potential Shiva Delta will surely break the meta. God, I hope not. Shiva out. Rather strange that they're making event banners with only 2 units on them. It's like we didn't escape the Date Quest campaign or something.
Let's not flatter ourselves. The Date Quest campaign is nowhere near the 5 stars of the set. It's fucking... what was it? Seth and Yasuyori and Sandayu.
Seth, Yasuyori, Sandayu, and then I think Baphomet was there too, and Astaroth, Astarte, who are not pullable.
Yeah, so I would still rather pull on this banner than the Date Quest banners, even knowing what the evos are.
Yasuyori's cute though. Yes, Harvey, keep shitting on 4-star units. Yeah. I dodged a bullet, I guess, because Reprobus here is the only unit I ended up getting. Well, yeah, if you're purely doing it for, unit capability, then yeah, Reprobus is the only one who is particularly outstanding. Like, maybe Shiva, but he's not that great either. You would think, if Life Wonders doesn't want to give more endgame content, they would give us more casual content outside of events, but we get so few of that, like character quests.
You just
yeah, I don't know.
Campaign. What do you mean?
I mean, yeah, well, it's not like it's translated, so not that we...
You're too busy translating fucking law, apparently, okay? Jeez.
Well, we'll see if they're actually keeping with their promise of the bi-monthly translations.
They didn't even translate the reprint event, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I hate that Life Wonders doesn't make more quests in the map. Just look at another game, or I don't know, it's sad that besides the event we don't get content. Yeah, it is pretty odd how disinterested Life Wonders is in giving us stuff to do, despite how diverse the kits tend to be, along with all the mechanical stuff with the guilds. Yeah, actually, I noticed something that they've been updating some of the affiliations. I only noticed this because as I was looking over the units, I noticed there was that new MMA affiliation, MMA club, and some of the older units got added into it as well. So not just like new units like Jagannath.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just he's 2 new affiliations and he's the only one in both. That's what I assumed.
No, Tigre is in it. Which, I mean, I guess that tracks, but yeah, it's strange.
Talk about a retcon, but okay.
Yes. This unit is Kyoma Slop. Grr. Yes. Do not change Reprobus's expression at 3 AM.
Oh my god, they really need to roll that back. They actually just need to unload it. Please, Life Wonders, just issue an apology letter to everyone for that art.
I think someone should ask Quigs how to change unit expression so that, like he did with Lame, change it to change Reprobus's expression.
Oh,
so it appears on everyone's friend list.
That icon. Stop.
I'm okay with this Chud Dog being usable over Shiva being a meta pick for the 3rd time in a row. Yeah.
But why Reprobus 5-star? Did anyone even like him that much when he first released? Were they really oh, Reprobus, 5-star material? Did they I understand the other units are Ixbalanque or whatever, but come on, Reprobus is 5-star? Give it to Hotei at least or something. Jesus Christ. Or some other unit, Reprobus was not 5-star bait. Seriously, what the fuck?
On that note, how many units do we have who are welfare units who actually get variants? Arachne and Yamasachihiko, they're both 4-star though. Who else?
There's a number of them.
I don't know. I don't actually remember if any of them are 5-star, which makes Reprobus even weirder. Oh yeah, Zao.
Yeah, everyone's forgetting Zao, my boy Zao.
That's kind of weird, but yeah, it's somewhat rare for these welfare units to get variants, but it's even rarer for them to get 5-star. I agree about hard game, end game. hard endgame content, while crossing fingers that the 10-year anniversary does something a little bit more experimental aside from another A and B.
Okay, it was cool the first time, but I agree with you. Let's save the budget for, gameplay, please. We had one in A and B, we're good.
No, they should use the budget to make another Moritaka mock dye suit for someone else. Ara, did you pull for the Ozempic shock?
What do you mean Ozempic?
I don't know. I think it might be because Isuribi variant may be thinner or something. I don't know.
He's literally showing his fat ass. Well, I wasn't really taking a close look, but I like Isuribi, and I don't really know that much about the game other than there's no Borealis variant. So, yes, I did just use all the resources I got from the 5.5 anniversary. And I have 0 tickets, and I have 20 Ether now. And I have 0 Isuribi. Oh my god, I want to live a hero, but this fucking game is doing nothing to me. Seriously, give me the unit I want, and the game gives no fucking resources, despite it only being 3 units. I don't get the one I want. Whatever.
Actually, how long has it been since we got a new permanent dungeon, for instance? The last one
10
was...
billion years. It was Toji's.
Yeah, I don't even remember when it was so long ago.
That was released with chapter 15 maybe, so I don't know, that must have been at least 2 or 3 years by now.
They could do Fate Go unremovable debuff, and another thing, but Life Wonders just focus about the Husbando factor. I guess this is a good time to talk about debuff nullification like that. Debuff nullification, in my opinion, is something that needs to be handled very carefully. Especially with how deep the game is right now, as in how old it is. Because in another game I played, Regalia Lost...
They released that status that just made a bunch irrelevant or something.
Yes, it was very bad. They released, so buff stacking was getting completely out of control. There were effects that say, every time you receive a defense buff, also apply a regen and a attack up, and it was very easy to very rapidly stack that. So your tanker, you do a buttload of damage, and you also regen a ton. And then there were characters who were for every buff you have, deal X amount more damage on this skill. So they released a content that the next endgame content inflicted a debuff that neutralized almost all standard buffs, and that completely dumpstered 80% of the roster. So I think it needs to be handled carefully, but I think that you could definitely do something like that. You don't have to go scorched to earth like that. If you did something maybe these other buffs you are not allowed to use.
Yeah, we have a variety. Why not do bigger resistance or concentration resistance or something like that? Something reasonable like that. Please.
If you just have a limp, because especially if you do that, that also makes it more interesting to team build, because you have to pick units who, fit into these holes. But I don't know, there's a lot of nuance to it. But yeah, they definitely could do something like that. But I think we all know that they won't. I can appreciate Hot Dog, but he ain't hitting my top 20. C-Tree.
He's referring to the 5 stars from variants from those shop units, full variants.
Oh yes, C3 Ben 10. Okay, it's actually more than I expected. Sorry, that's just my old man brain. C3 Zal Ben 10, Reprobus. Also, how'd you fare with HDQs for the previous event, Steam Happy? I'm guessing he probably cleared all of them?
I did. I had help with one of them, but that was just because I was too reliant on auto. And ever since I was told, just use Andrew's 3, and I was like, okay. And then I won the challenges or something.
Yeah, I was mentioning this to Ara about Harvey. I think that the space event is kind of weird or unusual in that Andrew completely steamrolls the entire event, both farming and the CQs. On my new account, I literally just took in Andrew and he S-freed and then everyone else just attacked and
right,
he won.
Be sure to keep it brief. This is a hostless stream, not last stream. But I'll add I am getting completely wrecked, and I don't think I can beat whatever this post-event challenge is.
Yeah, that one's harder, so you might need to talk to Harvey about it.
I think I don't have a fucking Isaribi or any other, right? I wasted all my stones and I have nothing good from it, so I have like the cat's brains, jeez.
Also, Ara playing La. Yeah, he's playing it lightly right now.
Playing quotation marks, very like asterisky, just auto everything, and like it's giving Crave Saga. It's giving Crave Saga is all I can say right now. Including the fucking bugs. The fucking bugs of just like, game update, now present, go back to the title screen, and then just like goes in a cycle over and over again. Like, oh my god, it's literally just like Crave Saga again of me rebooting the game.
Works on my machine. Stop bricking yourself. The biting hands emoji, whose name I don't know. What is the name of that emoji? I had to drop it because I couldn't pull anything I wanted. Yeah, so goes Gatches. Yeah, I remember that throughout Dragalia. We all hate Curse of Nihility. Dragalia lost mentioned. Man, I dropped La just for it to finally get a translation a year later, Lamau. I don't feel like it going back to it, honestly. I had just built up a meta character before they became trash overnight. It hurts so bad. I mean, there's still plenty of other content you could do with these older units, but I can, as someone who played it a lot, I can appreciate that it did suck for so much of the roster to become useless. What are we expecting for 10th anniversary?
We don't know. There's a site, and they're going to update it progressively, I'm sure, for the next 6 months, but I'm pretty sure there's like nothing really on it, maybe besides like maybe merchandise or some shit.
2 5-star selector tickets.
If only.
Something.
He's just speculating. That's not actually confirmed.
I'm guessing. I have no clue. I'm not an insider. Okay, again, as an example, FGO, they have a hard challenge quest, and certain characters have gimmicks and unremovable buffs and so on. It's sad Life Wonders doesn't want to do that. Livera does that. They have a bi-weekly cycling like boss challenges that like rotates who gets buffs and who doesn't. Like it doesn't necessarily elevate them, but they know how to do it. They just
don't for Housamo for some reason. Like to be fair, they did a lot of these things are like issues that need to be resolved now, but like honestly, they did pretty good for the things that they did choose to do instead. Between the profile card and the auto mode, apparently the auto mode is actually pretty complicated, as me and Carney are figuring out. So good changes, but just not the changes we've been yelling for like 10 billion years. It's giving Overwatch.
Hey, Overwatch eventually turned around. It's
for 5 years and like estranging its audience and scamming a bunch of people that believe in Overwatch too, and like having the whole whatever that weird controversy about the weak sweet thing was.
Sweet what?
Something about Blizzard and some sort of like herb sweet.
Herb. Oh, that, yes, I vaguely recall that.
Yeah. All that happened in like 5 or 6 years, and then they decided this year, now let's make the game. So hopefully with 10th anniversary, Life Wonders will be like, yes, after 10 years, we've waited enough, we've made people suffer enough, now we'll make the game hard, please.
Yes. I dream for the day where people like I see Housamo conversation in casual circles online, and it's not just the art's great, but holy shit, the gameplay is boring every time I see it, and it always is a bit sad. But something when they're slandering your oomph, but it's true or something. I forget how the meme goes.
Yeah.
Yes, probably expect an extremely broken unit you have to pull for. Yeah, they've done it in La, but in Housamo, yeah. The 10th anniversary should be something. It will be worst Annie or the best one. I mean, yeah, I guess. Valentine's Crossroad music, I can't hear it, so...
I will say about that one thing that Happy said. What's it called? Ashio said in. For a broken unit, it doesn't even matter if it's like more busted than every other unit, because like, again, you can win the game with like second variant Shiva at this point. You do not need another super busted unit when the game content is this easy. The only reason it would be must-have is if it like had a boost effect that was Kioma level or some shit like that. Other than that, like, forget about it. You don't need another busted unit. But yeah, let's close off this discussion. All right. So, Zalgus, my dear friend, what do you think about this event and the previous State Quest campaign and the Evos and all that jazz?
Let's see. The Evos were very unbalanced, very unhinged. They gave the most help to the unit who didn't need it. I feel like I had some other complaint about the date quest period. It's just that it was taking a bloody forever because it was a date quest campaign after a previous dead period. So it was like over a month of complete dead content for Housamo. Probably because they wanted to focus on the hero more for that particular time period, because that was when it's had its 5.5 and it's his translation re-release sort of thing. This event, this banner is atrocious. I don't really care about any of the units on them. The only one who I liked at all, really.
Why does no one like Hotei? I thought there were a lot more people that like Hotei. What the fuck? When this event came out, there was like crickets. Not a single person mentioned they like Hotei. I hate this.
I mean, he's fine, but it's not like I super like him.
That's pretty much everyone's reaction. He's okay. Like, whatever, guys. He's
yeah. But yeah, the banner is.
Tell me you haven't read fucking Howling Police without telling me you read Howling Police. Peace.
I won't. But yeah, the banner or the unit quality is absolutely atrocious. Also, adjacent to my disappointment is that I didn't pull that much. Well, in total I did, but I have 2 accounts, and one did 38, one did 48. I didn't get anyone but Ixbalanque and 3-star Gugalanna. It's like, okay then. And on one of them, I got Shiva and clap, but no, it was actually vanilla Shiva, who is better, but I also didn't want him. So my pull quality was bad, so this event is bad. I think the music is very funny because it's just like the stock wedding song, but remixed, and it's like, are you serious with that? The shop theme is nice though.
Yeah, I do like the shop theme a lot. I'm considering putting it on my home menu once it's available on the jukebox.
But yes, event bad. All right, you've had your fun. Move along. Next event.
It is a first of its kind, though. It's weird that an event exists in March of all months. Normally during this time, it's like a main quest chapter release. So this might be like the first event we released in like 10 million years during this March period. And it's just like a Valentine's event again, without calling it Valentine's event. It's like, there could have been creativity here, right? There could have been something brand new themed. But instead they just went with like the, the love theme again. Like, come on guys, come on, you could do something interesting.
Well, Ara, you clearly don't play enough gachas, because wedding banners are very, very common in spring. For, the June, May brides, those sort of things.
Oh, okay. I don't know why that's the case.
I don't get it. I don't get it myself. In fact, actually, I'm surprised it's not more common in Housamo, given how it's a very low hanging fruit.
Well, they usually do like the main quest released, right? So. But yeah. I guess if it's a common thing, then I'll give it a pass. Maybe it's just a cultural difference. I don't know. I just feel like it is pretty adjacent to Valentine's, so I don't know.
It's usually a bridal banner thing, obviously, but you usually get some grooms too. But obviously here the script is flipped. But yes, it is very common. Just ask Fire Emblem Heroes.
I suppose. I don't play enough gachas, which is probably for the best. Still wondering if I should keep on continuing a lot. I'll probably keep on continuing it for the next 3 or 4 months. But, not really enthused with continuing this game with no Ixbalanque and 0 resources. Jeez.
Do it for 6 months so you can get to the anniversary.
Sure, I'll probably stick around until then.
It should probably kick up at least then.
I was sincerely debating streaming it. My first look on it, I just did not have enough energy. I did not really care about the debut event enough. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll stream the story at some point, but like, I don't know. 0 resources, 0 Ixbalanque. I'm sad. And also, fucking, I'm too stupid at the game to get what's his face, Borealis's evolution. It's too hard, the quest.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you had to do a quest to actually open it up. Well,
yeah, it's pretty difficult. Like,
maybe I or Harvey can advise you, but I don't know what it is. But oh well.
But yeah, I'm glad we could still do the stream. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's nice that we could still do the stream despite the content not being enough to attract everyone who decided to dip. Yes, when people aren't on the stream, generally the reason is not because they're busy, it's because they're so offended by how bad or boring the banner is that they are like, yeah, I'm out. So pretty much everyone. I think Irby might have been the only busy one. I forgot his specific reason, but yeah. I'm looking forward to the next anniversary at least, which is gonna be 10th. It's gonna be an anniversary like no other, or at least it better be, but not just be another anniversary. And I'm looking forward to the main quest release as well. Looking forward to the Gugalanna re-release, and I'm looking forward to not even this re-release because it got Hotei. I am very glad to never look at this event again. But yeah, these past few months have not been great. But with that said, there's still a lot of hope to be coming in the future. There's only enthusiasm to be had for the next 6 months because of anniversary. So I'm looking forward to that. So don't give up on this game yet, guys. Maybe decide that in 6 months' time. Until then, yeah. Until then, you know, maybe if you're losing your mind a bit, give a lot a try. As much as I'm roasting it, it's also maybe just like a personal preference difference in terms of the kind of games I enjoy. And the loading times are so fucking slow in that game. Jesus Christ, cry. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add for this event. Hotei's hot. He's got a cool, sexy expression, and I got him. So, gonna close this chapter.
What is your opinion of the bridal theme? As in the battle theme?
I think call it bridal, but it's like husbands. Also, the bridal theme's lame, but whatever. The battle theme, I don't have an opinion on it. I played with the game muted. Once I listen to it like once or twice and I hate the music, I'm just like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna put it on my playlist.
You call other things cheesy with no like reservations, but you don't say it for this.
The thing is, I call things cheesy when I analyze them because they're novel. This one's just like so not worth even listening to that I will not even spare this a moment of my brain energy to comment on. So it is a downgrade. He's like cheesy is like a bad thing, but no, like not even commenting on it because I don't want to is even worse. Alright, I'm gonna go read up the chat and then we can close out the stream. I feel like between us two, there's not really that same energy of people jumping into the conversation. We can't really milk our content from this atrocity that is the Bridal Bootcamp banner. Where were we at?
Welcome back, Arathun.
Welcome back, Arathun. Thank you. One day we will find Arathun, whoever this Arathun is. Thank you for the stream, guys. Of course. Glad we could make it work. There was a good chance this stream might have never happened, given how bad the units were and how much no one else wanted to do it. But since Zalgus, despite his reservations, came in clutch to join, this is a stream you have today. So I hope you enjoyed it. This miraculous stream that could have died in childbirth. Kiyoma's love was purely for anniversary and, well, 8 years of wanting. Yeah, it was well worth the wait. If there was only one thing I would wish about Kiyoma, it's if he had like a larger card XP bonus. Instead, they just gave him the generic Mentor 10+1. Thanks for the stream, guys.
I think Kiyoma would be cool if he had a furry version. Smile.
If he had a what? Smile?
A furry version.
Kiyoma? Furry version?
Don't worry about it.
Does he have? I'm not gonna give more thought. That sounds like a line I'd want to go into right now. Hotei, more like fuck you, Harvey. More like fuck you, Harvey. Go jump off a cliff, Harvey. Fuck you. Just okay. My appreciation for body types has grown so I can appreciate Hotei a bit more, but I can't get over that smile expression. He's so hot though when he smiles with his like bedroom eyes. Unless you mean his default expression, in which case, yeah, his default expression is kind of whatever. I wish he could change it. Hotei's expression where he goes, yeah! Is that how he laughs? I don't know. Scares me so bad that I hate it so much. I should review his voice lines. I haven't had the time to do that since I've been busy with work. Yes, I do have a job.
Chonka.
God, I love Hotei. He's such a well-voiced character, such a well-designed character, such a well-written story. And y'all haters who aren't excited for this because of the Hotei, you just have not read the stories yet. You need to go read that. It's actually one of the best events. Definitely easily top 5, maybe even top 3 events in this entire game. Halloween Police, that is. It's time to go back, get back to Wufia, perhaps for the best. Early spring event in ages. It's practically summer now, for real. Good event, bad unit. Okay, time to sleep on updates till new event. I had to play for the pity for Shiva. Ooh, well that is a choice, but you know, if you like what you like, that's fine too. I
should have used your pulls on Ixbalanque.
Unfortunately, I've always been in this Twilight Zone where I pull so much for a unit until I get them just for the pity. So I have never really had the chance to use it for better first. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
hey, at least you get a refund on it, unlike fucking where your refund tokens only give you like other things like consumable or like LB mats and shit.
And La, that's actually really sad. What the fuck?
Yeah, your refund items are used to like they're in like their own personal shop, and there are some things that you can. There are some useful things, but it's not pull refunds.
Look, you've heard me roast Housamo a ton in terms of its difficulty, but say what you want, at least Housamo does its fucking like reward system right. Like it gives so much fucking resources nowadays. Like compared to like even the events themselves, I was noticing it's like you get twice as much as you used to when you first Housamo first began, because of all the equips just give you 20% bonus as well, and like fucking it's really hard not to clear the shop. Meanwhile with Liver here, I question if I can actually clear the shop with these like paltry bonuses that I have to glitch to double with only like 3 units on banner. Like what the fuck? Like seriously, it's like Housmo's reward system is just a lot more generous than W Heroes, and apparently that applies to the compensation system, to the reimbursement system. Like, that's actually so dumb. Housamo diminishing returns for years rep, indeed. Alright everyone, maybe summer will be good. Opium, sorry, I'm actually running out of oxygen here.
You skip Harvey's account question or account sentence.
I could have given you a law account that had both 5 stars on it, but you seem determined on using Narihito or whatever. I'm sorry, but this is not really about law specifically, it's just about like taking anyone else's account in general. It feels a bit weird. I don't have my feelings sorted out when it comes to like taking someone's account. I know in theory it's just like getting a good roster, but like, I don't know, it's not really cheating, but there's something like adjacent to it that is kind of like giving me the ick.
It is cheating.
Well, you heard it from Zalgus, the actual law player himself. It's cheating, so I don't know about that. I think I'll pass. And so is duplicating your units, but apparently that's the optimal thing to do in that stupid game. Maybe someone will get Copium. We had Fashionista Zabania. You got Christmas Jurong. Hooray! Best, cutest unit in the entire game. Not get white, so. I hate wedding themes. Hopefully the next one will be about divorce instead. That's very Gen Z of you. Very, you know, modern, edgy of you, Harvey.
I mean, we have plenty. We have plenty of units who are like divorced or like killed by their wives or spouses. So
you mean like
you can have Takamaru on there.
Masanori, Takamaru, and what's called Yamasachihiko, apparently, because he's no longer with what's her face, or Otoime rather, and that could just be like a bunch of new third variants of like divorced losers. Zalgus, what are you implying? Anger, thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down. That was actually did that. Ooh.
Oh, that was related to the pulling for Ixbalanque thing. No, I was just saying that because Ixbalanque is fucking giga trash.
I see. Ooh,
and it would be funny.
No, it wouldn't be. I would not want to have that on my account. Unfortunately, I got 3 of them on my account. But yeah, Harvey is very upset that I am not accepting his account because it's for cheaters, so... Reread it. No, thanks. It's pure cringe for me. Reread what? Alright, this is so out of context at this point. I'm just gonna move forward. Thank you for the stream content at least. Lost are doing that lottery system for shops now, right? You heard it isn't good. Well, tell me when there's something good with law that I can find. Borealis is good. I'm glad I could get Borealis instantly. There's a feedback form that for that right now, actually. You get 1 ticket for filling it out. Cool. Can't wait to get a Narihito dupe. Ugh.
Yeah, they have the lottery system for the like event shop. Well, not for this current event because this event's rerun, but for the previous one, they tested out a new system that has been implemented elsewhere. But I think the amount of materials that you get overall is higher, but because you can't choose what you're getting, you're kind of, for the most part, forced to clear it all out instead. So, for people who play the game consistently, it's better. For people who, only do it occasionally or have poor bonuses, it's probably worse.
Oh boy.
Maybe. I haven't don't quote me on that. I haven't calculated it myself.
Well, I'm not endorsing La yet, so I'm not going to give too much of my brain energy yet, but I will just promote the fact that La exists and that Harvey does content for it. I was a lot more enthusiastic before when I was promoting Harvey streams because I'm always here to support a friend who's very passionate about what they do. But now that I've actually tried a lot myself, I'm like, gotta reconsider how much energy I want to invest in this.
I mean, hey, he did a complete 4-star clear of that recent post-event CQ having trouble with. And I was very impressed with that, actually. He basically completely nuked it with his setup. It was very funny.
All right, so if you don't have a poo-poo roster like I do and have a number of good 4-stars and you know the game, check out Harvey's stuff and you can get some inspiration. We love gambling for resources too, so they started doing lottery shops like the Zufia. I don't know, I guess I haven't played Zufia. Alright, so that is it for today's stream. Whew, I am dry in the mouth right now for talking so much. But thank you for joining.
Hydrate.
Yes, I'm going to be doing that. Both of my water bottles are empty. So thank you for joining us for the stream today. Me and Zalgus are very appreciative of your company as we have fun talking about these units. It's not really necessary advice at this point because the game is easy, but we still have fun trying to talk about it. So the next form of content that we're presuming that we're going to be talking about is probably just going to be another event again, because normally what happens after the main quest that normally happens during this month is just 2 events followed by what's called anniversary or Christmas or some shit like that. So look forward to the next event, whatever that is. Hopefully not marriage related, unless it's divorce, in which case, let's go. We love a divorced queen.
Honestly, I think I have more fun when I get to rag about bad units than I have when I talk about units I like. Because I got
British.
some kind
He's
of
British. That's why.
it could be that, but yeah, I definitely got some sort of pleasure out of bitching about Ixbalanque there. It was very funny.
Real Schadenfreude that's in your blood and veins. All right, we're gonna go head out now, but yeah, we're gonna say our byes. So we'll hang out with you next month, probably. Until then, 1, 2, 3. Bye.
Bye.